How did you mess around with the computers at school? I remember sneaking into the library on Monday morning and starting the download for GTA 1 on the computers. If nobody noticed, we could usually play it by Wednesday afternoon. It was usually discovered by the weekend and deleted, so a few weeks later we would start again. We used to do this, but soon realized a USB was the answer, so I took responsibility upon myself and made a request list. Basically write any game you wanna play on the list, and bam, I've got it at next week's it period. Made a good couple of bucks doing it too. You reminded me of when me and all of my friends carried a USB with a copy of Halo set. We would take it to school every day and have man parties during lunch. Good times. Edit. LAN parties lol. A classmate ended up removing the ball of the mouse. Computers were still new, and the teacher assigned top the lab was actually a language teacher. She flipped. She thought the school will get the new mouse from her salary. Damn, the ruckus she created was a scene worth watching. Turning screens sideways with the keyboard. If you didn't know how to reverse it, it was quite funny to watch people strain their necks. I used to do this every day after I left the computer lab class in 6th grade. Eventually they brought in all the kids who were assigned that computer to the principal's office to find out who done it. They were threatening a superintendent's hearing, suspension, phone calls home, etc. All I had to do was look the principal in the eye and tell him it wasn't me. Shaggy taught me well, and he even got you on camera. There is always the classic. Take a screenshot of the desktop, set it as desktop background and remove all icons from desktop. Especially fun if the teacher just needs to use the computer to show something and not a computer's teacher. I did that in the robotics lab, except we would shift the icons a bit and repeat, so the whole desktop would be full of the same 5 shortcuts or something with none of them working. I put this circular magnet on the monitor because it made this cool kaleidoscope effect on the screen. I started rubbing it around because it looked so cool, and when I took the magnet off the screen stayed that way. I was in 7th grade and ended up getting Saturday school. If only you knew that you could have corrected the color by swiping the magnet near the screen for 5 to 10 minutes until it looked normal. I remember being bored during it class when I was about 16 and I was messing around on a spreadsheet. I highlighted certain cells to spell out frickin' giant letters when the mouse pointer suddenly started moving around on its own and clicked on the corner of the screen to bring up my username. About a minute later the computer technician came into the room and called my name and asked me what I thought I was doing and told me to stop it. It was my first experience of computer surveillance and I felt absolutely violated. Oh my god, that's freaking hilarious. I imagine the room full of surveillance people screaming and running around in panic as the cells start filling in. A kid I knew who was good with computers wrote a script that refreshed the school's homepage every 3 minutes. He installed it on about 40 computers. No one noticed anything for a while, but after a month or so, the view counter on the homepage, because our school website was apparently designed by a blog mom from 1998, was up to several million views. Nobody could figure out what was going on, and for some reason the school's resident rent-a-cop was the one responsible for the website, so this computer illiterate old crank had to fix it. He system restored every computer in the library and both computer labs. The next week, that kid installed it again, except he had them refresh every few seconds. Why would that be a problem? We are getting too many views. He had type of folder system, and it was called something like shared area, where the teachers would put work for us to do. Us however discovered several folders made by some students which consisted of mostly games. But one folder had a folder of folders which basically said, click this, click me, keep clicking, carry one, you can do it. Nearly there. And in the last folder there was just a picture of Gandhi in it. That ended wholesomely. I see you've never played Civilization. A buddy and I would make small batch files with reboot commands and then mask them with the Microsoft Word icon and name. Good times. Can this still be done? I'm leaving my company soon, and that would be pretty funny if I replace all the SolidWorks icons with reboot commands. Yes. In 7th grade our computers were all Macs with the same password. If your class had to use them the teacher would rent out the cart. The Macs had a screen share setting that required another Mac's password, which were all the same. It basically let you control another Mac at the same time as someone else. No one really knew about it, so me and a couple of friends started hijacking other people's MacBooks. It started out as just a joke, but escalated quickly. We started typing scary things in the search bar like runaway and whatnot. The plan, we wanted them to think it was a ghost, but they thought it was a terrorist attack. Then fun was over when some idiot hijacked the MacBook that the teacher was using. They caught one kid, and the rest of us went free, until that one kid had snitched on all of us by the time lunch rolled around. It was a big deal. They called the cops, and did a bunch of other extra crap. Surprised I didn't get suspended or something. They just called home. So yeah, you could do that. Sounds about right. My high school threatened to get the FBI involved when some kids made a meme page on Instagram making fun of some teachers. I'm sure the FBI dropped the Comey investigation to get on that. I used to take out all the balls from the computer mouses, until at one point we were given assigned seats, and had to flip the mouse over to show the ball was still there before and after class. Nobody is going out for recess, unless the person who took the ball out of the mouse steps up. AHH. Good times. Games weren't allowed on computers, so they were all deleted. I am an old solitaire and minesweeper to myself from home and reinstalled them. Also, if I sat close enough to a projector in class, I'd pull out the A/V plugs just enough so they wouldn't make contact, but would still look like they were plugged in. Did this at the end of class, of course, so I wouldn't be in the room when the issue was discovered. We had a folder on the school network where we hid all the games. I contributed some emulators and ROMs to it. Before school computers took out the ability to use command prompt /telnet, I would use telnet to connect to some server which would play Star Wars 4th. It was the full move, except the entire thing was made out of different text characters. Who in the world has the time to create that? I have no idea. Holy hell, I know exactly what you are talking about. I'm pretty sure there was some type of converter software for that, but still, why? Oh, this one right here is a classic. At my high school, our computer teacher, a woman I'll call Mrs. Goose, had no idea how computers actually worked. This woman had no idea how to do anything. It got to the point where one student convinced Mrs. Goose once that the only way to fix a computer with a certain problem was to put it in a dark room. Mrs. Goose put the computer in her closet for a week. Then after she removed it, the student quickly made the very easy fix himself, without Mrs. Goose noticing. To this day she believes that the fix to any problem is to put the hard drive in a dark room. Anyway, so in this class, I had two friends. One of them, a kid I'll call Mario, decided to mess with my other friend, Alex. Mario found an image of Billy Harrington, NSFW, and made it his desktop background. Later on, some kid made literal corn his desktop background. It removed it from his computer, then made some kind of system-wide policy where you couldn't change your desktop background. They thought this would be an easy fix. Problem is, Alex was still stuck with Billy Harrington as his background, and he had no way to change it. Luckily, Mrs. Goose had no idea how to use the multiple monitor viewer program at her computer, but she often did walk around the class. For the next year, poor Alex had to hide that desktop background from her whenever she walked by. Mario thought it was hilarious. This is circa 1996, so network printers didn't track pages well. I'll call the teacher Mr. L. Open Paint. Draw a diagonal line in black across the whole page. Print 30 copies. Mr. L hears the printer whir and keep going. He knows Noon has a reason to print, so he goes to investigate. Okay, who's the idiot that did this? Silence. Then the printer starts spitting out. It was me, sir, in 72-point font. 20 times. Mr. L replies, stop wasting paper. If I find out who this was, they are getting detention. 72-point font again. Sorry sir, I won't do it again. The next year we discovered the Excel 95, maybe 97, developer credits environment. That was fun to mess around in. This one guy at my school one year snuck into the computer lab and changed all the home screens to screenshots of individual Gaycon. Respect, that took dedication. And balls. That crap would probably get you expelled if you got caught. A classmate ended up removing the ball of the mouse. Computers were still new, and the teacher assigned top the lab was actually a language teacher. She flipped. She thought the school will get the new mouse from her salary. Damn, the ruckus she created was a scene worth watching.